I'm wearing all of the hand knits because it's really cold in Michigan. And I haven't quite warmed up yet. Hello there everybody, how's it going? It's Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I'm here with an update. A day earlier than expected, but like 6 days later than I planned on. Yeah. So, let's get into that real quick. Today, the date is Tuesday, December the 20th, 2016, and that's crazy. Apparently there's only 11 days left of the year, which is weird. But, my normal video is obviously scheduled for tomorrow, but I'm here today. I was also going to record last week before I left on my trip, but that just never happened for a multitude of reasons. You might be able to hear Thor rooting around. He is actually the reason that I'm recording today rather than tomorrow, because my 4.5-year-old bulldog has an ear infection. My toddler has an ear infection. So we have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, aka a vet appointment. And so he's currently sniffing and being silly. He's like sick puppy. He's not feeling good. So if you hear him randomly shaking, his jowls bounce when he shakes his head. So you might be able to hear that, but he does that because his ear is not happy. He's okay. It's not like an emergency trip to the vet. We don't have to go to an ER vet or anything, but still we need to get it taken care of so that he's a little bit more comfortable. So first off, I just want to say thank you to everybody who sent the well wishes for my trip. We had a lot of fun. Got to spend some really good quality time with some family. Got to see some of my cousins that I haven't seen in a long time. It was very cool. It was very good to spend some time with everybody. Also, thanks to everybody who sent the well wishes on my cold getting better before I left. It was better. I was all but back to normal by the time we got on the plane Thursday. But I don't want to say that I'm sick. I don't want to say that I'm getting sick. But there's definitely some scratchiness going on in my throat because it's winter in the north and it's not here, at least comparatively. It's like late fall here in Virginia right now. And I know that's crazy to say, like end of December, but that's my reality. It's just not that cold yet. There's snow in Michigan. And I know everybody from the north is laughing at me. Look at you, you southern bird, complaining about the snow, but I just wasn't expecting it. And I mean, I know I've said I lived there for so many years, and still I wasn't expecting it. So that was kind of fun. We had what we were calling a white Christmas because we celebrated our Christmas party with family on Saturday, and there was snow on the ground, and it was snowing during the day, and like, it was pretty cool. So that's kind of why I've got all the hand knits still on, because I haven't quite warmed up yet. So let me tell you real quick about what hand knits I am wearing today. I've got this hat that I knit earlier this year, and this is the Cafe au Lait Tam, and I have my details here. I overblocked this thing, so it should be a little bit tighter at the brim than it is, but it is what it is, and it fits okay. It fits pretty nice. I really kind of like it. Okay, so this is by Catherine C. I knit this last year. Oops. I knit it out of Malabrigo Rustita, which is 100% merino, and it's a single ply yarn. So, which I love. I love single ply yarns. And the colorway is called Zarzamora, which is like it's like a green and purple blend. And this was a really quick knit. I knit it for Loopy Academy Semester 1, and I knit an extra repeat in the body. The actual tam itself is supposed to, it's supposed to be a little bit more fitted, but because I knit the extra repeat, it extends a little bit. It's a little bit longer, which I kind of like. I like it a little bit slouchy. So that is my hat. And then my cowl is one of the earliest things I ever knit. I knit this in January of last year. And this is the Downton Cowl by Shannon Cook. And I'll just kind of pull up the top here. So pretty basic. It's kind of like chevron looking. And I knit this out of a skein of Tanis Fiber Arts Orange Label, which is a cashmere silk merino worsted blend. It's super luxurious and super squishy and soft. Love this one. And I only had one skein of it. The colorway is called Sand. Very appropriate. I only had one colorway of it, and I got it from Eat Sleep Knit, which no longer carries the Tanis Fiber Arts. In fact, I don't know that Tanis Fiber Arts is available in many stores anymore. From what I understand, they were taking a break. But I wasn't going to be able to get another skein. So actually, mine is a little bit different than as charted. It's supposed to have this garter stitch edging on both ends, but I ran out of yarn. Like I couldn't knit another 4 rows to get that garter stitch. I think when I finished it, I had this much yarn left. Like serious yarn chicken. So I just ended mine like that. Now fortunately, when I blocked it, it doesn't curl as much anymore. It used to curl a lot, like that whole head would just curl over, but that's not the case anymore. Now it sits pretty nice. And as my mom would say, it's a nice little neck sweater. I took one of my other cowls with me up north, and she tried to steal it, but I wouldn't let her. But she kept calling it a neck sweater rather than a cowl. So there is that, and those are my hand knits. We'll see how long they last. Today, I don't know if I'll keep wearing the hat. It's not itchy per se. It's just it sits on my forehead, so it's there. I can feel it. So yeah. Anyway, so what are we talking about today? I have a couple of questions. I have 2 whips, 1 finish, which most of you already know about, but if you're not on social media other than YouTube, then you will not have seen it just yet. I have my plans for next week. I have some stitchy haul and a couple of announcements. So let's do the announcements first. And I have a book to talk about. So on the subject of announcements, I posted this on Stitch Mania, and I'll kind of put the call out here. I am putting together a tag called like a year in review tag. But I thought it would be cool if it was more of like a community effort where everybody submitted questions rather than just me sit down and come up with the questions. So I posted this on Stitch Mania, and I said, hey, if you guys have any questions that you think would be cool to see FlossTube answer in this year in review tag, put them below, and I'll put together the list and post that tag later this week because I'd like it to be a tag. And I was really anxious putting this thing up because I'm like, oh god, everybody's going to think this is super stupid and they're not going to contribute any questions and I'm going to look lame. Well, I've gotten some really great questions already, so thank you everybody for calming my nerves down and for putting those questions to the list. I'm not going to do the tag today because I just put that up like 12 hours ago, so I figure I'd let people take some time and come up with some questions. So YouTube, if you guys watching this video have some questions that you would like included in the year in review tag, put them in the comments below and I will do my best to incorporate them. These questions need to be either stitching or floss tube related. We can go a little bit outside of the stitchy realm, but very vaguely, just because those questions won't necessarily apply to everybody. Let's see here. I'm going to do my best to make sure that we get every question into the list, but I can't promise that. And I may reword some so that they all, because I imagine that several of them are going to come up a few times. So one of the questions that I wrote for the tag, just to give you an idea of kind of where I'm thinking with this, I'm going to ask the question, how many full coverage pages did you complete in 2016? And so some of the other questions that have been asked have been related to, what was your favorite finish of 2016? How many FFOs do you have from 2016? What's a new to you designer from 2016, which I thought was really cool. So if you have anything like that you might like to see Floss Tubers answer in a year in review tag, put it in the description or put it in the comments, and I'm going to come back later this week to do that tag. It won't be tomorrow because I'll be at the vet's office. But later this week I'm going to do that tag. And I thought that was really cool. I'm like really geeked about this idea. Just like a community tag. So, yes. Okay. Other announcements. I don't believe I have any. Oh, I do actually. I will be recording next week. I don't know what my schedule is for that video, because Danny's winter break starts this Thursday afternoon, and so he'll be home next week. And between the holidays and travels, I just don't know what my timeline is. So I do plan on recording next week because I would like to talk to you guys about my January plans. My rotation is changing just a little bit. And I have a bunch of new starts planned for January, but I don't want to talk about that today. And I'd also... Okay, so do you guys remember the very beginning of this year, my very first video of 2016? I went through and showed you every single one of my finishes, and then I went through and showed you every single one of my whips. That video was almost 2 hours long. I had 12 finishes last year, and I had, I think, 23 whips at the start of this year. So I have 19 finishes for 2016, and I currently have 68 whips. So, I don't think I'm going to do a video quite like that. I'm going to try to figure out another way that I could show them all, because I'd like to be able to show, like, from the beginning of the year to now, like, sort of compare the two. So it might be slideshow style, because I think it'd be fun to just run through them all, just to see where they all stand. So perhaps I'll do that. Perhaps I'll find a way to format something like that. Let me know what you guys think. I am not interested in doing a 5-hour long video. I'm sorry, but I just don't have the chops for it. This floor warrior business is really great for like an hour. And then I'm like, okay, my behind hurts. So maybe I'll make Danny do it. No, he won't remember anything. Or he won't remember, like, fabric type, or, like the stuff that I like to tell you guys. So I'll figure something out so that I can gear and review. But the point is that that's next week. Okay, before I get into the works in progress, I want to go over the questions. I only have a couple of questions from my last videos or so, but I will just go through those real quickly. First of all, it's not really a question, but from Trisha, the left-handed stitcher. Hey, Trisha. She's recommended that I watch her demo video on sort of joining multiple pages of a project together so that I can, because I talked to you guys about struggling with the fantasy cell and where the slice in the pages comes for those center ornaments throughout that design. and I was talking about recharting it. So Trisha recommended that I watch her demo video about how to join those pages together, and Trisha, I'm totally going to do that. She also said, don't worry about the so's and the ums and the yas, because it's a part of my speech. And normally, it doesn't bother me. However, I am trying to incorporate the closed captioning because, and somebody pointed this out to me on one of my closed caption videos, it's not just for those in the deaf community or those in the hard of hearing community that appreciate those closed captions. It's people from different languages who would appreciate the closed captioning to help with translating and understanding the words that I'm trying to say, but in the accent that I say them. I mean, I can understand it. It's like I have some marginal Spanish knowledge, but lingos and dialects I won't necessarily pick up on. If I had closed captioning for a Spanish video, I'd be able to follow along so much better. So I'm trying to incorporate the closed captioning. It takes a long time, I'll be honest. It takes me a long time because I can be a bit of a grammar freak. It bothers me when I am speaking in a sentence and then I suddenly change directions mid-sentence because I never quite know how to handle that punctuation-wise. I never know whether I should use the hyphen or the parentheses. I just don't know. But those are things that are important to me to make sure that I get right because I want my intonation to come across. So when I'm writing these closed captions, I see so and yeah a lot. And so that's why it bothers me. Not so much that I have a problem with filler words, but more of the closed captioning perspective. I wonder how much time I could save if I didn't use those filler words in speech. Can't be sure. So there's that. I can't say that I'll never use them, but I'm trying to limit them as best as I can. Okay, so let's switch over to questions. A makeshift mermaid asks, she said, I was wondering if you have a favorite knitting needle brand, and I sure do. In fact, I might even go as far as to say that I don't knit on much anything else, if I can avoid it. And that is Chago. So this is my circular interchangeable set, and you can see Chago on the label there. And these are my favorites. Okay, so the first thing about Chagos is that the cables are red. And there is a, I think it's metal core running through them that make them, they're pliable, but they're not, loopy, which can mean all of the difference. I know that my doodler is on a different pair of interchangeables, and they are a very popular brand of needles, and the cord drives me insane. Okay, but that's not the only reason I like Chagos. The other reason is the needle tips themselves. Let me put these back in the bag. Okay, so I'm gonna pull out my 15s, just so that you can see. You see how tapered they are? They're almost sharp. And these are gigantic. These aren't needles that I ever use. But just so that you guys can see, they're sharp. The needle tapers off, and the taper is pretty long. I've seen some that are way short. I do like the point on them, so how sharp they are. That means the difference in lace knitting, and as you can tell, I do some lace knitting. Even simple eyelets are considered lace. And so being able to pick up 2 stitches at the same time to do a knit 2 together, those tips really make that pretty nice. They also are really great for super splitty yarns. Yeah, I really like the needle tips. Now this set comes with size 2 through 15. And as you can see, my 5, 6, and 8s and 9s are all missing. 6, 5, and 6 are like the most common shawl needle tips that you need. That's normally the size that's called for, at least for fingering weight shawls. Let me see. Oh, one of the other things that I like. Okay. So, with these needles, okay, so you see the tip there. And then this is the end that screws into the cable. So let me pull up a cable here. And I'm just going to pull up this one end. Okay. You see that join? It's almost seamless. You almost can't see it. And if I had my key, which I definitely do not, so this hole right here that you can see there at the tip of my thumb, you stick a key in that, and that you can use that for more leverage to tighten it even further so that that needle never slips out. I have a set of interchangeables from Knitter's Pride. And Knitter's Pride slip off all the time. I almost refuse to use those needles anymore because it drives me bonkers how quickly they slip off. I also have another set, a lot of sets. My Addi Turbo interchangeables, they are clicks, and so the needle essentially clicks on rather than screws in. And those are really great. They don't come loose, but the join is not seamless. There's a bump, and when I'm working with a single ply yarn or a really splitty yarn, it catches on that join all the time, and it drives me crazy. My Doodler shawl is on some Addi Turbos interchangeables, and the yarn that I'm using is a singles ply, and it slows me down considerably having to constantly try to knock the thread off that join because it stops everything and totally slows down any sort of rhythm I might put together. I'm almost done with the part that I'm on with the Doodler shawl, and I will definitely be switching to some chagoos for that. That one is knit on size 4s, and I have been saving my size 4s for that purpose because I will not be using those Addi Turbos anymore. I might have to look into selling that set because there are some people that absolutely swear by Addis. They like the cord for Addis because they are really pliable, and they like the tips for Addis because they're not very sharp, but they're long-lasting. Like, they have a really good life to them. But I like the chagoos the best. They're my favorites. Okay. Next, Susan Marks asks, what are the crossbars that you're using? I've just ordered the easy frames, but I can't seem to get them to work well. The fabric isn't very tight. It looks like your frames are better made. I can't compare the quality to my frames versus the easy frames because I've never used the easy frame. But I can tell you that the frames that I use are incredibly high quality. It's a pity that they're such a pain in the ass to work with. Excuse my language. So I use Millennium frames, and they are by Needle Needs. It is a UK-based, family-owned company, and they put out a really high-quality product at a very slow rate, and at an expensive one. They are not cheap frames, and they are not readily available. They are all handmade to order. I know some people have waited 8 months, a year, longer than that for a frame. I have been very fortunate in the fact that I've never had to wait too long for my millenniums. Um, my first millennium was ordered before floss tube sort of blew up and millennium became a household name, and so many people were learning about them. So my first millennium arrived within the 10-week called for period or whatever. I ordered a second set of just the bars, and I got them from, I think I got them in about 12 weeks. And that was March of last year is when I ordered those. So they are incredibly high quality. The tension is unequal anywhere else. I've never come across another frame that achieves that tension. I know that the Omanik factory in Estonia, they produce some pretty comparable frames from what I understand from other people. Now, I haven't ordered from Omanik yet. Yet is the operative word there. I definitely want a quantum frame. But from what I understand, their product is comparable. The only difference between the Omanik and the Millennium is that the Millennium uses a hardwood scroll. The quantum frame, the scroll is plastic. The bars themselves are still wood from Omanik, but the scroll pieces. Let me see if I can show you. I have one of my frames here, but I don't really want to give away my progress just yet. So here we go. So these are the scrolls, and you can see that they are hardwood. I actually use mine upside down these days. And then you can see the top bars up here. You can't see it, and I'm not going to flip it around because, again, I don't want to show anything yet. But it uses a dowel rod system so that you can get some even side-to-side tension. You can hear that when I pat on the fabric on the sides. And the tension is pretty even across the whole of the frame. I love these frames, and I swear by the product. Not the company, but the product. The product is excellent. But their customer service leaves something to be desired because they don't communicate very well. So, you know, it's kind of, you get the product that you pay for, but you don't get everything from them. So, yeah. Love these frames. Excellent quality. If you're willing to wait and you're willing to pay for them, and you have the patience of an elephant, then these are excellent. But I don't know about the easy frames for comparison's sake. I just don't know. Okay, so that will come out a little bit later. I'm sure you saw exactly what it is, but I just want to save things for when they're due. Okay, so that's it for the questions. Once again, thank you for your questions, a makeshift mermaid as well as Susan. If anybody has any questions about my stitching or otherwise, feel free to ask. Actually, I did get one other question, and somebody asked me when I got Thor. So Thor's Gotcha Day is actually tomorrow, the 21st of December, 2012 is when Danny brought him home for me. He was my Christmas gift a couple years ago. And yeah, he's grown since then, since being a little baby boy. And I'm sure you can hear him snoring. His eyes are actually open. He is awake snoring. I don't know what his deal is. He's not feeling good. That's what it is. Okay, so, like I said, if you have questions, ask them below and I'll be happy to answer them next time. Okay, now let's switch to the works in progress. Let me go ahead and minimize those notes there. Okay, so I have to speed things up. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon, so I'm going to have the light for approximately 45 more minutes. So, the first project that I worked on since we last spoke is my Heaven and Earth Designs mini pirate. Show that there. Try to avoid the glare as best as possible. So this is artwork by Sabine Rich. You'll be seeing a preview here of what this looked like the last time I showed it to you. And as always, my Heaven and Earth Designs are stitched on 25 count Lugana. They are stitched 1/1 full cross. And when I spoke to you last, I was talking about trying to make a push to finish the page that Friday evening. That did not happen. In fact, I didn't stitch at all after I got that video, after we spoke, after I spoke, I guess. I didn't stitch anymore because after editing, and then Danny and I, what did we do? We have date night? We must have had date night. There was a reason, and I didn't stitch anymore. So, but I did get the page finished. I got the page finished on Saturday, and so here she is. Ta-da! Oh, she looks really good in that light. But, like, not too much light because you can't see her. You can barely see her. So, as you can see, I got that page finished. And it looks so crazy good. I mean, yeah, the detail is, it's not quite the same as the full size. But you can see their jawbone. You can see her earring. You can see that tendril of hair that's kind of coming back. You can see all that. And then this white here is like the ruffle of her shirt that's kind of coming up. Oh, so excited. So I was like all gung-ho. I got that page finished. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to use this piece for the next challenge. For the next Heaven and Earth Designs challenge. And I talked to you guys about this last time. But they said that it had to be a totally clean page. There could be no stitching whatsoever on the page that you were going to work on. So effectively, my page 2 is ineligible because I feathered into that page, as you can see there. But I was like, that's fine. I could do the page below while I'm reading up on the details. And as it turns out, they're making it even more difficult. You can't have parked in the page that you'll be working on. So this page down here is ineligible as well because I've got all these parked threads, which is what I do. I park my threads below the page so that I don't have to read. The challenge is making me angrier by the second. I have a project that's eligible, so I'll be fine. But I was just a little bit peeved to find that out. I'm glad that I found it out now, rather than, you know, February when the challenge ends. So, anyway. And I'll talk about that next week, which project I'm going to be using, and I'll show it to you and everything. But so, anyway, that's where I am with my girl Mini Pirate, aka Booty. Booty's got a face, or at least a half of one. And I think she looks so good. She looks even better from far back. Like, you can definitely tell what's what far back, which is so cool. I get a kick out of that. I mean, you know, I'm working up close and I'm like, I have no idea what that is. I have no idea why this purple stitch is in here. Like, and then I finish the page and I set it back for me and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's her earring. That purple stitch means that there's some definition between her neck and her chin. Like, it's just cool. So, go Heaven and Earth Designs. You are excellent. I'm really stoked about that page finish. And just for fun, there's the back. Yep. So 1 page down, 11 to go. She is 10% complete. So, there's my mini pirate. Okay. Next. Okay, so the next project that I worked on, when I talked to you guys last, I told you that the next project I was pulling out was going to be my 9 Ladies Dancing by Nora Corbett. And so I have here the model, which, by the way, whoever model stitched this, and please, if you were the model stitcher, I'm sorry for saying this, but their stitches look terrible, especially the Krennic. I was a little bit concerned when I got to stitching this if the Krennic was gonna look okay, because I stitched it on the called for fabric. So if I did the called for threads on the called for fabric, you know, there's no saying that mine would look any better, but it does. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but anyway. So this is 9 Ladies Dancing by Nora Corbett. You'll be seeing a preview here of what this looked like last time. And I have a finish. Oh, I'm so excited. I have her on a hanger because I can't wash or iron her anymore since there's some Karen water lilies in this piece. So I have her hanging up, and I'm going to put her in the bathroom and hope that the steam kind of helps loosen this up, because this fabric is a 28 count China pearl linen. I'll just bring it in so you can see her. Ooh, that light shining off, man, you can really see how sparkly. Hold on, let me get her back in the light. Oh, I'm losing the light faster than I thought. There we go. Super sparkly. Okay, so the fabric is 28 count China pearl linen from Witchelt, which makes it really stiff. I gave her a wash after I finished the Krennic, but before I did the beads and Karen water lilies. And I thought that that was going to loosen up the fabric a little bit, soften it up. It did not in the slightest. But it helped with the crease that I had down the center. The center of this fabric was bent from being in my memory keeper, which is what happens. But you can still see some, like some memory of being in the frame. So let me just bring her in close. Actually, I'm going to take her off the hanger for a second so I can bring her in close. So you can see all of the beads and the Krennic. She's very blingy. Okay, so what kind of changes did I make? Let's see, I made her skin 1/1. As you can see there's not a whole lot of skin, just there in her legs and her torso area. I also, the chart actually says to attach beads with a matching thread. I use Nymo. It says to attach the beads using only a half cross, but I hate that look, so I attached mine with a full cross. Let's see. The smaller beads, like those gold ones and the pink beads here, those are vertical, whereas the ginormous seed beads, like this one here at the center of her chest and around the fringe of her skirt, those are horizontal, because they fit better that way. And the cover actually shows them horizontal. So I kind of took reference from that. What else did it say to do that I thought was silly? Okay, so one of the Krennics that it calls for is Vintage Amber. And Vintage Amber is a beautiful Krennic, and it's not so bad to work with. It says to use them in 2 strands for backstitch. No, I ain't doing that. That's silly. Not only that, but it's 2 strands for backstitch in the filigree coming out of the banner. No, I'm not doing that. That's silly. So I didn't. I just did 1 strand. Oh man, she's a blingy girl. I love the way her skirt sparkles. I'll admit that while I was stitching her skirt, I felt really weird because the whole center of that skirt is Krennic 007. So it's pink. But it's like a silvery pink. And then there's 3 different shades of pink DMC around the edges of the skirt. So it's not like it actually blends or, they don't really go together. But it looks really nice. Trust the designer, Jess. Trust the designer. let's see, one of my other issues that I have, her shoes. I wish that I had known that her shoes were going to look like that, because I would have done them in a much different color. This is in like a steel high luster color. Her shoes are. And if I had known better, I would have done them in like a white. Because that's kind of what I imagine for ballet shoes. Like I imagine white or pale pinks or pinks. I know that black ballet shoes are a thing, of course I do. But she's got white gloves, she has a pale pink tiara, she has an all over pink skirt, the bodice of her skirt is pink, black shoes. Not following that. But anyway. Okay, so let me tell you the bane of my existence with this pattern. I lied. I have two. Okay. Okay, so 9 ladies dancing. There is a block there of, let's see, I think it's 13 by 13, so we're talking, I don't know, like a lot of stitches in white. I hate stitching with white. It's my least favorite thing to do in the world. I almost switched it out for a different color because my stitches don't look as good as I'd like them to in the white. They're okay. You can't tell from afar. Nobody's going to be scrutinizing it, not in my real life. But there's that. Okay, the other bane of my existence. Okay, let me draw your attention to her tiara. You see those lovely pale baby pink beads in her tiara? Right there? Okay. So I ordered my kit for this piece from, I believe it was ABC Stitch Therapy. And this is not a dig against ABC Stitch or anything like that. It happens. I totally get it. Not a big deal. But so I ordered my kit from them. And I stuck all of my stuff in the envelope, and I've been working from that kit ever since I kitted it about August of last year. So I had the gold beads, the darker pink beads, the gigantic pink seed beads, and these. But, I mean, this happens all the time. Our patterns call for colors of beads that we were not expecting. And that was the case with this. I thought, okay, well, I don't see where the blue beads are going, but maybe they're used in a way that I wasn't expecting. No big deal. So I'm looking at the chart, and I'm looking at 1, 2, 3 stitch because I'm like, I don't see the blue beads in this piece. No, these were not the right beads. So if you ordered from ABC Stitch Therapy around the same time that I did, you probably got my pink beads and I got your blue beads by accident. Bummer. But guess when I realized this? Tuesday afternoon before I'm supposed to leave for Northern Virginia to then catch a flight to Michigan. I wanted to finish this project Tuesday so that Wednesday I could just focus on packing and getting everything ready to go. Actually, no, I realized this earlier than that because I debated ordering them. That's right. Okay. Whatever. I debated ordering them, decided against it because I thought, I'm just going to go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's or something and I'm going to find some equivalent beads that I can use. Some equivalent to baby pink because Mill Hill 00145, maybe a number that I never forget. Those are Mill Hill petite glass or not petite. Mill Hill glass seed beads, size 11, baby pink. Anyway, so I go to my Hobby Lobby. My Michael's is nothing for beads except for like gigantic, like friendship bracelet beads. That I wasn't going to find size 11 beads. My Hobby Lobby has a better bead section, so despite my reservations about Hobby Lobby, I went. And their bead section is indeed much more robust. their pink bead selection was, it was alright. So I got these. These are bead treasures. These are size 12, so they're a little bit smaller than the 11s, but close enough. From, I believe they're Czech, but I tore off half the label. So anyway, so seed beads in a pink color. They're a little bit more hot pink, but I can make this work. No big deal. I'm going to pour out a few of these onto my tacky bob and take a picture and insert that here so that you can see why I could not use these beads. The color, fantastic. I could have made that work just fine. They are paler than the dark pink beads that are also used in the design, but not so pale that you can't tell that they're pink. So that was great. The problem that I had was the shapes of these beads. And I don't even know if a picture is going to necessarily showcase what I want it to. But basically, there are some really thin beads, like they were cut really thin, but they're wide. And then there are some normal width beads, but they're like this long. They're not quite that extreme. They're not bugle beads, but so there's zero consistency amongst the beads, and I could not get them to fit. If I used just the wide but thin beads, I couldn't stitch them vertically. I would have to stitch them horizontally. But if I did that, then they're almost too long for the stitch space, and they leave, like, you can see fabric through them. Oh my gosh, this was like a nightmare. And I was trying so hard to just make it work. I mean, there are 114 grams of these. I'm never going to use all of these beads. I spent $4 on top of all of the time that it took me to find them. Like, I was trying to make these work, but it was just not happening. It's just not going to happen. So I gave up on my dreams of finishing this before we left for Michigan. And I ordered the right pink beads. Mill Hill 00145. Now they are paler than the bead treasures, but it would have been just fine. I mean, it would have worked out. There's like 5 different shades of pink in this skirt. It would have been fine. But, I mean, Mill Hill seed beads, we all know, if you've ever worked with Mill Hill seed beads, they're not consistent. They're not uniform in shape. But those bead treasures were awful. They were so bad. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be doing with those beads. They may just be some pink seed beads that sit in my stash. Who knows? So anyway, so my 9 ladies dancing is complete. Signature down there in that corner and all. This is probably my last finish for 2016. I'm going to try to eke out another one, but I can't promise anything. So there's that. There's just, there's a lot going on between now and the end of the year. This weekend, I don't know how much stitching I'm going to get. The weekend after, again, we're going to be out of town. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway. So that's my 9 ladies dancing. Okay, so then on to the subject of the Christmas star. My goal was to pull out the Christmas star by Liz Almond. I didn't even bring that with me because I didn't work on it at all. And I don't know that I will by the end of this year. Because I didn't get them done for the cards for family, so now it's kind of a why bother. Work on some things that I want to. Plus there's only 11 days left. Like, it's not like I'm going to get a ton done. Okay, so bead debacle. Okay, so what have I been working on since? Because I finished up 9 Ladies Dancing yesterday. And so what have I been working on since? Oh, by the way, cross-stitch withdrawals is a real thing. I had physical symptoms. Sorry, I gotta stretch out both my legs. That's better. I didn't stitch anything while I was in Michigan. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 5 days, 0 stitches. That's a long time when I'm used to going every day for like at least a half hour. 5 days with 0 stitches. I thought I was going to go crazy. But I mean, there was just no time. Like, even if I took stitching with me, it doesn't matter because there wouldn't have been time. I took knitting with me and there wasn't time for that. So, it is what it is. But so I finished Night Ladies Dancing yesterday and I'm like, okay, what's next? So I pulled out, like I had told you guys, my Ho 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 by Stony Creek. And I will insert, a preview here of what this project looked like the last you saw it. It's a little bit rolled up in the frame here. Let me move my minder over so that I can show you. I'm working on the second block, which is a reindeer block. By the way, if you have this pattern in your stash, look a little bit closer at the model stitch. Again, I will say that if you are the model stitcher, I don't mean any offense. And I understand that you're stitching on a very serious deadline, and so perfection is not, it's not necessarily the goal, but getting it done is the goal, and according to the chart is. But some of these stitches are wonky, and that would make me crazy. I have some stitches in mine that aren't exactly uniform, and I can't stop looking at them. Anyway, so there's that block, and I am stitching this all together on 28 count cashel linen in antique white, and it is opalescent, so it's a little bit sparkly. And here's where I am now. Look at my little reindeer. Ain't she cute? I think it's a she. I'm gonna call it a she. Despite the antlers, I don't care. She's wearing like one of those headbands with antlers because her eyes make me think she's a girl. So I've made some pretty good progress between yesterday and today. Pretty pleased with that. Today's been kind of a chill day here, just because I want Thor to rest as much as possible. I find that when he's awake, he's uncomfortable, so it's sort of like a kid with a fever, like you just need them to sleep it off. Anyway, so yeah, I'm really pleased with how it's turning out so far. She's really cute. I have still a little bit of work left to do. I obviously have the rest of this leaf stuff and this one over here, almost all of it, which, believe it or not, is done in a week's dye works. You can't tell there's any variation, and there's hardly any whatsoever. I can only tell if I'm looking up close, but it is what it is. That's how they get their money. I also have to fill in a couple of things here. Her eyes aren't quite complete. And then I have a ton of backstitch to do because, as you can see, it's practically covered in backstitch. So yeah, quite a bit left to do there. So I think that I can probably have it done by tomorrow, depending on what kind of stitching I have to do today and when we get back from the vet tomorrow. But I think I can have that block finished by tomorrow. I was thinking that I was going to stick with this until I had the whole project done, but if I'm totally honest with myself, come Sunday, Christmas, I'm not going to want to work on this anymore because I can't have it displayed in time for Christmas. So it's kind of a, like, it's like the Christmas stars. What's the point? I could rush and try to get those Christmas stars finished right now and try to get them in the mail, but I can't promise that I'll have them done in time. And certainly not all 8 of them that I had planned on doing. So, anyway, that's where I am with the reindeer. I think that what I might do is just finish this block and call it a day for this project this year. Truth be told, if I rush to get it done by the end of the year, it can't count for Stitch from Stash. And I'm all about trying to make stuff fit for Stitch from Stash. I mean, don't get me wrong. I finished 9 Ladies Dancing when I could have saved the last 10 beads for the new year. But I also kind of had this goal to reach 20 finishes for the year. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm not committing to anything. It's the holidays. There's traveling. There's stuff. You know, Jessie Marie does stuff. There's stuff. So, anyway, there's my reindeer. You can kind of see the sparkle. And I have some embellishments yet to add as well. There's a little ornament that sits right here. And there's some beads. So, yeah. It's a lot of fun to stitch. I'm having a blast. Do you guys ever get that? Okay, so you're like, all right, I've got the next 2 hours to stitch. Let's take advantage of this time. And I know some of you are laughing at me. What's 2 hours to stitch? Okay, so let's make this more reasonable. I have 30 minutes to stitch. Let's see what I can get done. And then you sit there and you stare at the project. Okay, where do I start? Okay, well, I could start with that color, or I could start with that color, or maybe I'll do that, or I want to do that motif, or I wanted to finish that motif, but I didn't last time. So I spent all of this time trying to figure out the next part that I'm going to stitch. So I came up with this great method. And of course I don't have an example handy to show you. Oh, needle minders real quick. Sorry. Squirrel. Christmas Mickey and Redskins. The Redskins played and lost last night, so that's why I have that on there. Both from Gina's Unique Boutique. Okay. Let me see if I can find an example. Here. Oh yeah, of course you're not on a ring. Because how convenient would that be? Are you on a ring? Perfect. Okay. So here's what I do. If I'm getting ready to face some indecision, and I'm like, I don't know what to work on next, I start here, at the very first card, wherever I randomly pick up this ring. And most of my projects are on these rings. So I pick this up, like, okay, the first one is Jolly Holly, and it's that symbol there, roughly drawn. So I will work on whatever I can in Jolly Holly, wherever I can reach without having to count too much. And then I'm like, okay, well, I can't reach that symbol just yet, so let me flip. So I flip to the next. And the next is Straw Hat with that symbol there. Oh, cool, I've got a bunch of stitches to do in Straw Hat. But there's some more over there. I can't get to that just yet. Flip. Picnic basket. Or as my brain always goes, a picnic basket. Anyway, filled in diamond, you're welcome. Okay, I've got a few picnic basket stitches to do. So let me do those few stitches. That's the end of this color. Flip. So I am essentially eliminating all decision making. I don't make the decision. I let the cards decide for me. It's sort of like tarot. Like, I let my tarot cards decide my life for me. Yeah. That's my reality. With Heaven and Earth Designs, it's real simple because I just do the next color in the next open block. But sometimes, like on designs like the Ho Ho Ho, I'm like, I don't know if I should do the candy canes first, or if I should do the green first, or I should get that Weeks Dye Works out of the way because I don't like that Weeks Dye Works. You know. Anyway, that's how I do things. Just in case you were wondering, let me put this back before I forget where it goes. Okay. So that's that. Okay. Next, let's talk plans for next week. Where did my plan envelope go? Did I get things out of order? I sure did. Okay, so plans for next week. I have 2. And the first of which is my Pumpkin Patch Farm Sampler, which everybody voted for, so thank you very much for doing that. My Pumpkin Patch Farm Sampler by the Victoria's Sampler. This is being stitched on 32 count Winter Moon. I looked it up, guys. Be proud of me. Now watch, I looked it up and I said it wrong, but anyway, This is by the Victoria Sampler. Beautiful project. Well loved by FlossTube. And this is where the project stands currently. So I will be working on this band down here, which is the Kids on a Cornfield Ride, or Hayride, with the scarecrow and the sunflowers. That will be the band that I will be working on. So as soon as I finish up the reindeer block, then I'll be pulling this out. So that could be tomorrow, it could be Thursday. Who knows? We'll see. So I'll get to work on that. And I will, of course, be sure to show you where I get to when I get to it. Okay. Next, I have a new start. And this new start is playing into my retail therapy a little bit, so it will be a beautiful segue. But this is the Dragon Sow by Ingleside Imaginarium, aka Blimey Cat Stitches. Hey, Brittany. The next time I come to New York, I'm gonna come visit you. Like it or not, you better be in town. Anyway, that aside, so she released the borders for her Dragon Sow, and I was on that like flies on cake, to be, friendly language here. Anyway, yeah, I jumped right on that. So I had to order it immediately. And at first I was thinking I was going to do a January 1st start, but I have 5 other projects planned for January starts. And I want this border ready so that when the Garnet Dragon is released, I can start stitching her right away. So I'm going to do the border now. And this is going to play into some other haul over here. But the fabric that I'm going to use, and you'll be, of course, seeing a preview of what the border looks like here. She calls for a gossamer Lugana, and because it's an even weave fabric, it takes dye a lot lighter than the linen would. So the linen would be much more green and yellow, whereas the gossamer Lugana is really nice. I wasn't going to wait for that, so I'm going to use this from my stash. And you can barely see the color, and I can't for the life of me remember what it's called. I'm pretty sure it's just called Diamonds. I got this from the Crafty Kitten. She did like a box for the various birth months and birthstones, which I thought was kind of perfect because this is the Dragon's gemstones cell. So they're all based on the month's birthstone kind of thing. And this is Diamonds. Guess whose birthstone is Diamonds? April babies, we know what it is. Anyway, so I got this from that box, and so I'm going to use this, which I thought would be really perfect. I had planned on stitching Seaside Kingdom from Mirabilia on this fabric, but I have a different plan for that. But I think this will be great because I think that it's pale enough, but also thematically appropriate. And pretty. It's so pretty. And, oh, it still smells so good. Do you guys remember when I first got this and I wouldn't stop sniffing it? That's nice. It's not as overpowering anymore. Okay, I'm going to stop showing it so much. So I'll be starting that at some point in the next few days. I can't say that I'll get the whole border done in time, but I'm at least going to have the space for the Garnet Dragon. I'm so excited. I've been so excited for Brittany's entire planning process for this cell. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Okay. So that, as I said, segues into haul really great. Okay. So, obviously the pattern is from my haul. This is something else from my haul. And I'm just gonna bring it over here and show you kinda. Okay. Charlotte Pipe. Okay, so this is a table stand, lap stand, that my wonderful husband built for me. And I'm just going to show you an example. I have my Q-snap here, and it just rests on the corner pipe, the fittings that he installed there at the bottom. So my fabric won't attach to this, but it attached to my Q-snap so that I can flip my Q-snap to the back and, thread through the back without having any issue. Now here's the cool thing about this. He used ginormous PVC pipe. It's 1-inch diameter. And he hasn't glued it down just yet, but he's going to make it so that these pieces down here, the legs and the feet, it has feet on it just for balancing sake on both the front and the back, so that those are permanent, as well as, let's see, this will be replaceable with a longer bar, but this part of the fitting and this top part of the fitting will be glued permanent, as well as the stand part itself, these fittings down here. This part is going to remain not glued so that I can tilt it if I need to. So like, let's say I'm sitting at a table that is a little bit, where the chair is a little bit higher than the table. So I can tilt it how I need to so that I can access my stitching. Let's say that I'm stitching sitting on the sofa. Now, of course, the angle isn't right here. No, that's not going to work. I would want to tilt it a little bit downwards so that I could see the face of my stitching. I'm so excited about this, you guys. So let me not cover my face. Oh, there is one other thing that I didn't want to talk about with it. So let me tilt it down a little bit. None of it's glued yet, so it's all kind of fluid. It all kind of moves. Okay. It's pretty stable there. So let me grab my Millennium, because that was the other question that we had, was if it could support my Millennium. And it can. Not only that, but if I were to shift my Millennium over here, and this was on a table or somewhere more stable, it holds it like that as well. It will hold it off to the side, so that if I need to access as far over as here or even further, I can. So I thought that was really cool. He happened to be looking over my shoulder when I was looking at Instagram, and he said, I can build one of those. Because I was looking at Kelly from the Evergreen Needle. She had one on her Instagram, and he was like, I can make one of those. And I said, you can? He said, yeah. I said, well, get to it. So that's really great, because my Lowry is small, but the base is heavy. And if I'm going to stitching retreat, like if I'm going to the Stitchers meetup in DC, I don't want to lug that big thing, because it's heavy and it's awkward, and I wanted something that I would be able to take a little bit easier. So with this being sort of so that I can break it down, that will be excellent. So it's much easier to transport. So I'm really excited about that. Mr. Man just woke up from a little nap. He's going to investigate. So if you hear him snorting and rooting around, that's what that is. So really excited about that. Okay, let's see. What else did I get? I got my first order of needle minders from Bella Stitch. So here's a little story, because I'm a storyteller, I do that. So I decided to finally inventory all of my needle minders. I went through PayPal and I sorted out where they all came from and put them into a nice Excel spreadsheet, and then realized that I have 65 needle minders. Well, now I have 73. Okay, so Abby, so I listed like some statistics, like all of the various minder makers that I have minders from and whatnot. And Abby was like, I noticed that you haven't bought any from Bella Stitch yet. And I'm like, busted. So I immediately went on to Bella Stitch and put my name down for a few. Now I put my name down for 3, and I have 5 here because Abby is awesome. What are you doing? So I have the quintessential Bella Stitch slice of agate. I believe that's is it Uncle Hank? I think. And it's like a dark red, but the center is almost like a burnt orange color. We're in an orange. Hello. You're just coming right on in, huh? I also have a beautiful... Okay, yeah, sure, you can sit there. I also... Hi, honey. Excuse us while we, figure this out. Are you comfortable? Yeah? Are you comfortable? I know. You're not. Your ear hurts. Oh, Zippy's. Zippy's butt. Zippy's butt. Did you know that I am almost done with my video? Did you know that? Hey, Thor. Who's here? Go investigate. Who's here? Okay, or sit. Okay. So, I also have a pretty white reindeer. And I have a pumpkin with a straw hat. And then Abby sent the wooden fox there, which I can't believe that she parted with a fox. All of you fox fanatics out there. And a little snowflake. Now here's the cool thing about Bella Stitch minders. They have this little bubble on the back. It's the only way I can describe them. Excuse me, honey. Yeah. Okay. They have this little bubble on the back. You see that? It's like a handle. Like you grab the handle. That's amazing. Do you know how many magnets I've broken because they slam and shatter? Are you bored? Silly dog. So anyway, I love that. And I'm so excited. I love the agate slice minder. That's really cool. Like those aren't available from anybody else. At least not what I've seen. And I just really like that. So that's fun. So thank you, Abby. The chocolates that you sent have been devoured by my husband. Dark chocolate fiend that he is. So thank you so much for calling me out. I now have some Bella Stitch minders in my stash. And I won't get hounded by Abby anymore. I can't say that not anybody else will, but at least Abby. Thanks, Abby. Those are cool. Okay, we'll set those over there. Let's see what else Thor wants to get into. Okay, next. Ooh, let's show the fabric, huh? So this is my fabric of the month from Leslie at Under the Sea Fabrics. And this is Khaleesi. And my fabric of the month is a 32 count Belfast linen fat quarter cut. And look at how fun that is. I am in love. I really, really like this fabric. Thor, that's not yours. It's intense. And there's definitely like dual personality. So like this one's kind of tame and this one's kind of loud. I kind of love that. When she first announced this fabric of the month, I was like, ooh, I have no idea what I'm going to do with that. But I think I figured it out. You know those Firewing designs? Monochromatic dragons? Yeah. Khaleesi fabric? Yeah, that's got to happen. So I'm going to be stitching, I'm going to try to see if I can fit 3 dragons. This is my life, you guys. This is the reality of my life. If I'm doing anything, Thor wants involved. I'm going to try to get 3 of those dragons because Khaleesi in Game of Thrones has 3 dragons. It's perfect, and I think that would be super fun on this fabric. It would help showcase it without the fabric being too overpowering. So that's happening here. So there's that. Okay. Next, I have Earth Goddess by Joan Elliott. I finally have this pattern, you guys. Yay! I've been planning on this being my January New Year New Start for months now. Oh, is that a good spot? I guess so. Scratching his neck and he likes it. So I've been planning this for my January New Year New Start for months. And so that's finally going to happen. I don't know that this is going to be my New Year's Day New Start, but it is nonetheless one of my January starts. But I will talk more about that next week. And that is by Joan Elliott. And I know several people are starting or currently stitching. I know that Colbin and Stephanie from Miss Oh So Crafty are both currently stitching it. And I know that Emily from Eclectic Possessions is starting it. Nobody needs to see me. We'll just pretend that you're my voice. Emily is starting it January, New Year's Day, I think. Okay, next I have another piece of fabric, and this is pretty boring, so I'm going to show it quickly. This is 28 count ice blue cashel linen from Zweigart. This I got for the other half of my Christmas stars, and I also have it for another project that I will talk about next week. Okay, last thing for haul, and then I think we're going to call it a day because my book is too far away and I've got a tub of love in front of me, don't I? Yeah. Okay, so the fabric is very boring. It is a 28 count milk chocolate linen, and it is from Witchelt. And I will be stitching in the new year the Lizzie Kate Tingles. So you guys know that I am doing the Jingles series. Well, this is the companion piece, only this is the Halloween version. But this is cool because, does this come with the buttons? Oh good, it did. Okay, this is a flip it, which means that there are 2 patterns on each of these. So I just have the first one. It's the first pattern booklet of 6. 12 total designs, and I'm stitching them all together just like my Jingles, and so it will look like that when it's all done. Okay, now here's where things get a little bit interesting. I went on to 123 Stitch to kit this thing up with all of the called for weeks dye works, and it was a lot more money than I was willing to spend. And I have a ton of hand dyeds. I mean, we're talking 50 plus hand-dyed threads in my stash that I just couldn't justify not using. So I did some substitutions. I ordered some that I knew I was going to absolutely need to get, but I'm making it work. So here's kind of part of my color palette because it's partially haul as well. So just some fun colors in there. The oranges is really where my stash was lacking, so I made sure to get the oranges. And this is Carrot and Clockwork, which is kind of my favorite because of the pop culture reference. But the rest of these are pretty much substitutions. And so I'm just going to make it work. I'm still using hand dyes, but I have a blend of classic colorworks. I have some Gast in here. I have some other week's dye works. I'm just kind of making it up as I go, which I'm pretty good with because these threads are just sitting there, useless. No sense in spending money when I don't have to. So I was able to kit that up with hand dyes for a fraction of the cost. So that's that. And that is another of my January new starts. I actually think that makes 6 new starts for January. But anyway. Okay. So I think that that's everything. I think that we have done everything that we can do. So I will say goodbye, and I hope that you all have a great rest of your week. I hope that you have a very happy holiday season. If you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. If you don't, then happy holidays to you. I will see you guys before the new year. I'll probably see you before Christmas, actually. But just in case things go awry, you know, like life happening, like bulldogs sitting in your lap. Yeah, I will see you later. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing and for your continued support of my channel. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Our community is hands down one of the best on the planet, if not the best. Maybe it's the best. Alright guys, thanks so much. See you later. Bye-bye. Say bye. Say bye. Say bye. Bye. Say bye. Okay. Bubba, go lay down. Go lay down. You're a good boy. I know. Your ear's not happy. It's not a happy ear. Oh, you want to come in? You said, Mom, I'm coming in. I need love. I need love. I need love. Okay. I'll rub the ear. He likes it when I rub it. Just a little bit.